So Nathaniel, thank you for coming to talk to me today. So you are Nathaniel Lawson and you are from the Accounts Department for Concentric Lettings and Lawsons, and we are no relation. We don't look anything alike, I would say. But you wanted to talk today about non-resident landlord taxation, is that right?
That's correct.
And this is something that you deal with quite a bit in what you do on a daily basis.
It is, yes.
So tell us a little bit, what is NRL? What is it?
NRL is non-resident landlord tax. It's a scheme run by the Inland Revenue, and it's basically a scheme in place to ensure that landlords are able to receive their rental income without basic tax being deducted from that.
Okay. So if a landlord's living overseas, they're not in the UK, they're not going to have PAYE, they're probably not going to be submitting returns, so quite often they probably just wouldn't bother.
Yes.
But if they are receiving income in the UK, they've still got to pay tax on that income. So I suppose this is just a way of informing the government they're overseas, is it? Or?
Yeah, I mean, the way it works, a landlord has to inform the HMRC that he's resident overseas, or that she's resident overseas, or a company is resident overseas, so that they can receive their rent without the tax deducted.
Mm-hmm.
So having that in place, it makes sure that the HMRC is aware of any landlord or company receiving rental income for their property without tax deduction.
So without this form then, they can't receive their rent in full, so that would mean that we would have to deduct tax for them, I guess.
That's correct. If you have a letting agent who's managing your property for you, it will be the responsibility of the agent to withhold that tax and forward it on to the HMRC on a quarterly basis. If you don't have a letting agent who's managing your property and it's a tenant who's paying the rent direct to you, it will then be the tenant's responsibility to withhold the tax.
The tenant paying your tax for it.
And forward it on to the HMRC as well.
Great reason to deduct from your rent, isn't it? So, I mean, so this NRL form then really, I guess, is the Inland Revenue checking you out as a good, honest citizen that has always paid your taxes and giving you a rubber stamp. Is that more or less what it is?
Yeah, the form which they fill out will pretty much ask for the information on the landlord or on the company, also tax affairs, and what they do is just check to make sure that their previous history of tax affairs is all okay, give them the rubber stamp, send the certificate out to say you're okay to receive your rent with no tax deducted.
Fantastic. And out of all the landlords that you've come across, do most people do this?
Most of the landlords do. Some landlords are unaware, so it's a good way that we know, so we can check it, so it's a good education for them as well, that they need to get in touch with the HMRC so that they can receive their rent. Because we have come across a lot of landlords, quite a few landlords, who are unaware, and we have to educate them.
I know you've had some that have actually been letting through other agents and have never done this before, and they get rather perplexed as to why we're asking.
Why there's an extra deduction out of my rent. But yeah, I mean, providing that their tax affairs is all okay, and they can fill out the form, send it off to the HMRC, we get the certificate back, we can continue to send the rent with no tax deducted.
And it's this number that comes through from the Inland Revenue, that actually belongs to us, doesn't it? It's our number that says that we're allowed to pay it gross. We need that number, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Or the tenant would if they were the last people to touch the rent.
Yes, they would.
Yeah, so it's our number. And so as an agent, if any agents are watching this, they need to make sure they're getting those NRL numbers, and same for tenants if they've got overseas landlords.
They do, because they will find that they can be liable as well if they haven't informed the HMRC that they are paying rent out to an overseas landlord with no tax deducted who doesn't have an NRL approval number. So it's very important as an agent that you do that.
So just imagine you're a tenant or an agent and you've had a landlord for 3 years, you've been paying your rent or passing the rent on quite happily for 3 years, and then all of a sudden the Inland Revenue find out he's overseas, you would get the bill.
Yeah, you could find that you're in a very sticky situation.
That's not nice, is it?
Not at all.
20% of the rent. Oh dear. But in reality, most landlords have got their UK tax allowance, they've got plenty of expenses. In reality, they probably won't pay much tax anyway. It's just that they need to have this formality, they need to have this NRL certificate to take that responsibility away from the last monetary holder in the UK.
Yeah, and also if they do have the tax deducted, and then they send the forms out, and then we get the certificate afterwards, they can just offset the tax that they've already paid against their own tax at the end of the year, so there's no loss there made.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us today, Nathaniel. Very informative.